Darkness settled over the cemetery. The mourners hurried into their cars. The older people moved carefully for the exit in serious and functional vehicles. The young piled into brightly painted automobiles, one with a psychedelic sunburst on its trunk, cars that seemed impatient to burst from this place of death and be on the road where rock music could erase the coldness around them. That afternoon, the gravediggers carried the casket to its actual site. It was lowered into a 30-foot-long trench and placed end to end with the other dead of the day. When the earth was put back and smoothed, it began to snow. The carillon broadcast in electronic taps. Whiteness covered the rawness of the long trench, wrapping the 44 other caskets put into the ground that day with a blanket of order. All was clean. All was conformity. The older people would have liked it. Part 1. George and Carol. Chapter 1. 43 years before the snow fell to end the day at the Long Island Cemetery, George Diener was born, in Brooklyn, in a nation about to slip into the Depression. He was a beautiful baby, with fair hair from the German ancestors on his father's side, and the spirit and good humor of the Irish from his mother. There is an early photograph, taken when George was 3 or 4, showing him in a neatly laundered sunsuit, sitting on an outcropped rock in the middle of a swift stream in upstate New York. His face is a canvas of wonder and happiness, yet possessed of a curious mask of privacy, of introspection alien to a boy that young. It seemed to say, "Leave me alone." On the day that photograph was taken, his mother had to cry out several times, "George, get out of there! You'd sit on that rock all day long if I'd let you." George tested her discipline a few more minutes, watching the small trout flash by, feeling the icy water splash his legs, before he reluctantly waded out, got into the borrowed car, and endured the long drive back to Brooklyn. There were few such outings in George's young life, because his was a city family struggling to pay rent and keep food on the table. His territory had definite limits. Its borders were the Catholic Church and the towering nuns who both fascinated and frightened him. His sister, older by 3 years, who said everything she did was right and everything he did was wrong, and the crowded apartment in the back of the malt and hop store that his father owned on Seneca Avenue. For $1, the elder Diener would sell a small can of malt and usually throw in free hops for the customer to make 5 gallons of legal home-brewed beer during Prohibition. Early in George's life, his father lost the store and, like millions of other Americans, embarked on a desperate search for any work at all. For a time, he conducted a trolley car. Then he repaired Model T Fords. Finally, he found work with security. An important word, that one, the father hammered home to his son, as a mail clerk with Texaco. George's world expanded. With German parsimony and management, the Dieners arranged to buy a 2-family house for $8,500 on Autumn Avenue in the Melting Pot Cypress Hills section of Brooklyn. The street was tree-lined. The neighbors, a dentist, a fireman, a shoe salesman, a dress cutter, sat on their front porches at night and gossiped across to one another. Children ran everywhere with freedom. "And the children are clean," rejoiced Mrs. Diener. "Look how nice everybody keeps their children." A black wrought-iron fence marked the 14-foot-wide Diener homestead, with black-enameled twin gargoyles carved at the front gate. Here George took to climbing and sitting. But, like his rock in the stream, like the trees he would climb in nearby Forest Park, it was more a place to observe without commitment, more a place to see than be seen. Years later, George would say, "The one thing about my growing up in Brooklyn was how ordinary it was. It must have been hard eating chopped meat 5 nights a week, but when you're in the middle of a depression and so is everybody else, then you don't know any better. I had a father who worked hard, and even though I cannot remember him ever taking me in his arms and saying, 'I love you, son,' I guess I was secure in his love. And I had a mother who never